Ever texted her and got nothing? No reply, no read, just silence. And you're sitting there thinking, why is she ignoring me? Don't panic. Today, in just 1 minute, I'm going to show you exactly why she's ignoring you and how you can flip the game instantly. Stay with me because this works whether she's a friend, a crush, or someone you're dating. Sometimes, when a woman starts to pull away, it feels like the ground has been ripped from under you. One moment she's there, laughing, texting, sharing moments with you, and the next, silence. You check your phone repeatedly, wondering if you did something wrong, if she's upset, or if you somehow lost her interest overnight. But here's the thing, her pulling away is rarely random. It's rarely about punishing you or testing your patience. Women often retreat when something in their heart or mind feels uncertain. It could be fear of getting hurt, it could be feeling overwhelmed, or it could be that the emotional connection she thought she had doesn't feel safe enough yet. And when she starts creating distance, it's her way of trying to protect herself without saying the words out loud, because most women are taught to internalize their feelings, to be subtle, and to avoid confrontation even when it's needed. Pulling away can happen for a million reasons, and sometimes those reasons aren't about you at all. She might be stressed, facing personal struggles, or battling emotions she hasn't fully processed. Maybe her career, her family, or her own insecurities have taken precedence, and she doesn't know how to communicate that without hurting you. It's easy to look at the silence and assume the worst, to feel rejected or abandoned, but often the truth is far more complex. She isn't ignoring you because you're unworthy or because you lack charm. She's trying to navigate her own inner world while balancing the presence of someone else in her life. When you realize this, it shifts the perspective from panic to understanding. Her distance becomes less of a personal failure on your part and more of a signal, a quiet message that she needs something different right now, whether it's emotional space, reassurance, or clarity in the relationship. Another reason women pull away is because of energy and connection. Human beings, men and women alike, are drawn to energy, to someone who makes them feel alive, seen, and safe at the same time. If she senses that the energy between you has shifted, if your excitement, confidence, or emotional strength has dimmed, her instinct might be to create space. This isn't a manipulation tactic. It's a natural response to a change in the dynamic she once felt secure and interested in. Sometimes, even unspoken tension, minor misunderstandings, or subtle changes in your behavior can trigger this. She notices when the spark dims, when the playful banter isn't there, or when the emotional depth she craves isn't fully met. Pulling away is her way of subconsciously asking herself whether she can still feel that connection, whether she can still feel the excitement she once did, and whether being close to you aligns with what she truly wants in her life. Lastly, pulling away can also be about self reflection. Women are intuitive and sensitive to emotions, and when something doesn't feel right, they instinctively step back to evaluate, process, and understand their feelings. It's their way of trying to make sense of the connection without making hasty decisions. They may ask themselves questions they don't even voice aloud. Do I feel safe with him? Do I feel valued? Am I truly happy in this dynamic? These questions are often what lead to distance. And while it's natural for someone on the outside to feel confused, anxious, or even desperate for answers, it's important to recognize that her withdrawal is her way of seeking clarity, stability, and a deeper understanding of herself before deciding how to proceed with the relationship. There's a misconception that constant attention and nonstop messaging is a sign of care or love, but in reality, over-texting or chasing someone relentlessly is one of the fastest ways to kill attraction. At first, it might feel like you're showing her how much you care, how invested you are, but what she perceives is often very different. Too many messages, constant calls, or never ending attempts to grab her attention can feel suffocating. Instead of feeling valued, she might feel pressured, overwhelmed, or even trapped. Attraction is a delicate balance between interest and mystery, and when you bombard her with constant messages, the natural tension that creates desire disappears. The thrill of curiosity, the excitement of wondering what you're thinking or doing fades, and all that remains is a predictable pattern of attention that no longer excites her emotionally. Chasing someone sends a subtle message, whether intentional or not, that your happiness or self worth depends entirely on her response. This is something women sense almost immediately. Confidence is magnetic, and nothing kills confidence faster than the appearance of desperation. When she sees you constantly texting or chasing, she doesn't feel drawn to you. She feels the weight of expectation. And attraction isn't built on obligation or pressure, it's built on respect, excitement, and emotional safety. When you overtext, it signals that your energy is scattered, that you are too available, and that your life revolves around her responses rather than your own growth and passions. And ironically, the more you chase, the further she may pull away, because humans naturally desire what feels elusive, mysterious, or earned, rather than what's handed to them without effort. Overtexting also creates a sense of imbalance in the dynamic of the relationship. When one person is constantly initiating, constantly seeking attention, and constantly trying to maintain engagement, the other person can unconsciously begin to devalue the effort. It stops feeling special because there's no challenge, no intrigue, no reason to prioritize you over everything else in her life. Human psychology craves novelty and excitement, and when everything is predictable and relentless, the spark diminishes. Attraction thrives in a space where both people contribute equally to emotional investment, where there's push and pull, curiosity and engagement, rather than a one sided pursuit that feels exhausting for both sides. Chasing also robs you of your own power and identity. When you prioritize texting her over living your life, over engaging with your passions, and over focusing on your own growth, you begin to feel anxious and frustrated. That energy of anxiety, frustration, or neediness is something she can feel through every text, every call, every ping on her phone. And rather than making her more attracted, it pushes her to emotionally distance herself. On the other hand, stepping back, giving space, and focusing on your own life restores balance and respect in the connection. It reminds her that your presence is valuable, not disposable, and that being with you is a choice she makes, not a default she falls into. Emotional security is the invisible thread that keeps a woman feeling safe, valued, and connected in a relationship. And when it's missing, she instinctively pulls away. Women are naturally sensitive to emotional cues, to the way someone responds to their feelings, and to the energy they bring into the relationship. When she doesn't feel secure, it's not necessarily about mistrust or doubt in you as a person. It's about a lack of reassurance in the dynamic between you. Emotional security comes from consistency, from actions aligning with words, from knowing that the person she invests her feelings in won't leave her hanging, won't judge her, and won't make her doubt herself. Without that, even small uncertainties can loom large, and the fear of being emotionally vulnerable can make her retreat before she gets too close. It's not that she doesn't care, but that she needs a stable foundation to feel safe enough to fully engage, to let her guard down, and to show the parts of herself that are tender, imperfect, and deeply human. When a woman senses emotional insecurity in a partner, whether it's mood swings, overreactions, or a lack of reliability, her mind starts scanning for potential risks. Every text that goes unanswered, every cancelled plan, or every moment of inconsistency can be magnified into a sign that the connection isn't stable. Women are wired to read between the lines, to pick up on subtle emotional cues, and to respond to them in a way that protects their heart. That's why even small signs of unpredictability or unreliability can lead her to pull back emotionally. She's not trying to punish or manipulate. She's trying to create a safe distance so that her own feelings aren't left unprotected. Emotional security is about feeling that the person she's investing in will respond with empathy, understanding, and calm, even in the face of mistakes, misunderstandings, or conflicts. When that is missing, she instinctively withdraws because vulnerability without safety is frightening and exhausting. Providing emotional security doesn't mean you have to be perfect or avoid conflict. It means being consistent, being dependable, and creating a sense of stability in your words, actions, and energy. It means showing up in a way that reassures her, not just verbally, but emotionally, that she can trust you with her feelings. When a woman feels this security, her attraction deepens because she experiences safety, intimacy, and connection all at once. The smallest gestures, a calm response to a difficult moment, remembering something she mentioned in passing, being patient when she's moody, carry enormous weight in building that sense of emotional security. It's not about grand romantic gestures alone. It's about creating a consistent emotional environment where she can express herself freely without fear of judgment or rejection. Emotional security is also closely tied to predictability in your character and energy. When she knows she can rely on you to maintain your calm, to communicate clearly, and to stay grounded even when things get tense, she feels a sense of peace that draws her closer. Conversely, if she senses instability, emotional volatility, or a lack of attention to her feelings, she instinctively begins to pull away. Women need to feel that their emotional investment will be met with care, understanding, and consistency. And when that assurance is absent, withdrawal becomes her way of protecting her heart. Mystery is one of the most powerful tools in attraction, yet it's often overlooked because people confuse it with being secretive or distant. True mystery isn't about hiding who you are or playing games. It's about creating an energy that makes her curious, keeps her engaged, and makes her want to explore your world more deeply. Women are naturally drawn to people who have layers, who aren't fully revealed at once, and who offer glimpses of something intriguing without giving away everything immediately. It's the small, subtle details, the way you share stories about yourself, the way you maintain a calm confidence, the way you hold space for your own life, that build this sense of mystery. When a man is completely available all the time, predictable in every interaction, and overexposed in his emotions and actions, the natural tension that fuels desire diminishes. Mystery keeps the emotional and psychological connection alive, making her want to invest more of her attention, curiosity, and energy in discovering who you are. Creating mystery doesn't mean ignoring her or being cold. It's about balance. It's about showing her that while you care and are interested, you also have your own life, your own priorities, and your own experiences that are independent of her presence. When she sees that you have passions, ambitions, and a world that she's not fully a part of yet, it naturally triggers curiosity. She begins to ask herself questions. What is he doing? Why does he think this way? What's his world like? These questions create mental and emotional engagement that no amount of constant texting, explanations, or reassurance can replicate. Mystery encourages her to actively seek your attention and your company because she feels like there's more to discover rather than taking every interaction for granted. Another aspect of mystery is emotional restraint. Women are drawn to men who can manage their emotions, who don't overreact to minor setbacks, and who carry themselves with calm confidence. When you react emotionally to every text, every slight pause in communication, or every perceived sign of disinterest, you remove the allure of unpredictability and intrigue. Instead, when you maintain composure, respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively, and allow her to notice subtle shifts in your behavior or energy, you create layers of complexity that draw her in. Emotional restraint isn't about coldness, it's about measured energy, the kind of energy that makes her feel that every moment with you has weight, significance, and meaning, and that your attention is a choice, not a default. Mystery also thrives on selective sharing. You don't need to reveal every thought, every feeling, or every detail of your life immediately. Instead, you allow her glimpses into your world in a way that piques curiosity and keeps her engaged. It's in the stories you tell, the experiences you hint at, and the confident silence you sometimes maintain. Each interaction becomes an invitation to discover more, a subtle challenge to pay attention, to invest energy, and to feel emotionally connected in a way that is exciting and deeply satisfying. When she senses that there's more to uncover about you, the desire to be closer, to engage more, and to invest in the connection naturally intensifies. Confidence is one of those qualities that doesn't just attract attention, it holds it. It's magnetic in a way that words, gifts, or even charm alone cannot replicate. Women are naturally drawn to men who carry themselves with assurance, who are comfortable in their own skin, and who don't rely on constant validation to feel worthy. This isn't about arrogance, showing off, or acting superior. It's about a quiet inner strength that radiates stability, calmness, and reliability. When a man exudes confidence, it creates a sense of safety and admiration at the same time. She feels that he knows his value, that he is secure in who he is, and that he won't crumble under the pressures of doubt or uncertainty. This kind of energy is intoxicating because it mirrors a sense of emotional balance that she instinctively desires in a partner, someone who can handle challenges, take initiative, and remain grounded even when emotions run high. Confidence also influences the way you communicate, which in turn affects how she perceives you. A confident man doesn't over explain, doesn't over apologize, and doesn't chase validation through messages or constant attention. He communicates with clarity, purpose, and calm authority, which signals that his time, energy, and attention are valuable. Women pick up on this energy immediately because it aligns with their subconscious desire for stability and reliability. When a man is confident, she feels a pull toward him because she senses that he can be trusted to manage himself and his emotions. That pull is not something superficial, it's deeply psychological. It's the understanding that his presence brings security, excitement, and emotional depth all at once, creating an irresistible attraction that grows stronger over time. Another layer of confidence is the way a man handles rejection or setbacks. A confident man doesn't crumble when faced with silence, disinterest, or minor misunderstandings. Instead, he maintains composure, assesses the situation calmly, and responds with thoughtfulness rather than desperation. This resilience creates admiration because it demonstrates emotional maturity, self respect, and inner strength. Women are instinctively drawn to those who can maintain their energy, their poise, and their sense of self, even when situations are uncertain or challenging. It's not about ignoring feelings or being distant. It's about showing that your happiness and self worth aren't entirely dependent on her attention or approval, which paradoxically makes her feel more connected to you because your energy isn't consuming or needy. Confidence is also deeply tied to independence and self sufficiency. When a man has his own passions, pursuits, and life outside the relationship, it shows that he is complete on his own and that being with with him is an addition to his life, not a necessity. This kind of independence creates intrigue, admiration, and desire because it signals that he is not emotionally dependent, manipulative, or clingy. His attention becomes meaningful, his presence becomes a choice, and his energy becomes something she wants to be a part of rather than something she feels obligated to respond to. Every action, every word, every glance of a confident man carries weight, significance, and subtle power, which naturally draws her closer and keeps her emotionally invested. Sometimes, when she's ignoring you or pulling away, it doesn't require days of overthinking, endless texting, or complicated strategies to bring her attention back. It can happen in as little as 1 minute if you reset the energy the right way. This reset isn't about grand gestures, apologies, or desperate attempts to get her to respond. It's about shifting the emotional vibration you're giving off and replacing tension, anxiety, or neediness with calm, confidence, and intrigue. Energy is contagious. If you approach her with stress, worry, or frustration, she feels it instantly and is likely to pull further away. But if you can shift your mindset in just a minute, ground yourself in your own worth, and radiate calm self assurance, it changes how she perceives you almost immediately. The key is that this is not manipulation. It's a conscious adjustment of your presence, your tone, and your energy to become someone she is naturally drawn to rather than someone she feels obligated to respond to. The first part of this 1 minute reset is internal. You take a moment to breathe, to release the tension that builds up when you feel ignored, and to remind yourself that your value is not defined by her responses. Most men make the mistake of letting the silence or her withdrawal dictate their emotions, which creates a spiral of over-texting, chasing, or anxious thinking. But by consciously stopping for just 60 seconds, grounding yourself, and reconnecting with your own life, energy, and priorities, you reclaim emotional control. This internal reset shifts you from being reactive to being proactive, from being needy to being magnetic, from being predictable to being intriguing. Women respond to energy, not words alone, and this subtle but powerful change in your emotional state can be felt even if you don't say anything at all. The second part of the reset is in your external behavior. Once you've centered yourself, the way you interact with her, if you choose to reach out, becomes markedly different. Instead of sending multiple texts asking why she hasn't replied or trying to explain your feelings in a long message, you communicate in a way that reflects calmness, playfulness, or subtle intrigue. A single, well-timed message, a simple, light-hearted text, or even a pause before responding can create curiosity and spark her attention. It's not about forcing her to respond, it's about showing that your presence is confident, measured, and valuable. She notices the difference immediately because it signals that your energy is no longer dependent on her approval or immediate validation, which naturally pulls her toward you. Finally, the 1 minute reset isn't just about her. It's about creating alignment between how you feel internally and how you project yourself externally. When your energy is grounded, self-assured, and calm, it radiates outward, and she subconsciously senses it. Your subtle shifts in tone, timing, and confidence become a signal that the dynamic has changed, that the connection is now balanced, and that she is interacting with someone who holds his own space while inviting her to engage on a deeper, more magnetic level. At the end of the day, the truth is simple. Attraction isn't about chasing, over-texting, or trying to control her feelings. It's about understanding her, respecting her emotions, and showing up as your best, most grounded self. She pulls away for reasons that are often deeper than you realize. And when you give her space, emotional security, and the right energy, the connection naturally strengthens. Mystery sparks curiosity, confidence radiates attraction, And even a small reset of your energy can change the dynamic in ways that hours of worrying never could. It's not about tricks or games. It's about becoming the kind of man who commands respect, inspires desire, and makes her want to invest in you because she feels safe, intrigued, and truly seen. When you embody these qualities, when you balance attention with independence, care with confidence, and clarity with subtle intrigue, you create a connection that's magnetic, irresistible, and real.